Welcome back to Top 5. The abduction of the Liaos. In 1994, a family of 4 from Virginia was taken hostage by a group of armed men in their home. The assailants, desperate for money, forced the family into their car and drove them across state lines. Remarkably, after days of terror, the family managed to escape when the kidnappers stopped for food. This case, while terrifying, faded from public memory, overshadowed by more sensational crimes. 9. The Ikenberry hostage crisis. In 2002, a quiet upper Midwest town was shaken when a man took 3 teenagers hostage in a bank. What was shocking was not only the fact that he was armed but that he had also taken his own children to the bank and placed them at imminent risk. After a tense standoff lasting several hours, the hostages were released unharmed, but the psychological scars ran deep. The case received little national attention despite the harrowing details. 8. The mysterious Lichtenfeld cases. In 1981, 2 siblings were abducted while traveling in Europe. Their captors, a shadowy network of thieves, kept them in dingy hideouts across multiple countries. Weeks later, the police finally located them, but the kids had been so traumatized that they could not recount their experiences. The story barely made the headlines before quickly fading from view, a stark reminder of how easily children can fall victim to unseen threats. 7. The kidnapping in Coutura. In 2015, a social worker in Paraguay was taken hostage while trying to protect street kids in a gang-ridden area. The gangs, furious at her interference, held her for a week, using her as leverage to settle scores within their ranks. Her eventual release garnered little coverage, leaving many to wonder about the fate of those whom she was trying to defend. 6. The Kashmiri hostage situation. In 1999, a group of tourists in Jammu and Kashmir found themselves kidnapped by militants during a trekking expedition. The situation escalated as international governments attempted to negotiate their release, influenced by geopolitical tensions in the region. Miraculously, they were released, but the tale remains buried beneath layers of complex political narratives that overshadow the personal tragedies involved. 5. The abduction of Nera's children. India's renowned social activist Nera was kidnapped in 2010 while advocating for women's rights in a rural area. Her captors took her children as leverage, demanding the cessation of her campaign against systemic abuses. Though she was released after weeks of negotiations, her children bore the brunt of the psychological fallout, forever marked by their ordeal. The story received scant media coverage and quickly slipped into obscurity. 4. The House of Horrors. In 2013, a suburban family took in a troubled teen, hoping to give him a second chance. Instead, he turned on them, holding them hostage for 5 long days. This case was an eerie reflection of the hunger for connection gone awry, but ultimately, the tragedy was seldom reported outside small local circles, leaving many unaware of the dangers hidden in the guise of goodwill. 3. The vanished flight attendant. In 1979, a flight attendant on a commercial airline was abducted during a layover in a foreign country. Her captors were never caught, and despite extensive investigations, her case remains unsolved. Chilling details of her possible fate continue to circulate, yet the case has faded from public consciousness, a haunting ghost that lingers in the annals of aviation history. 2. The siege at the Sewol. In 2014, the Sewol ferry disaster in South Korea left many young students trapped and terrified, with their captors being the elements of nature itself. As the ship capsized, many felt like hostages in a disaster they could not escape. With a rescue effort that failed miserably, the aftermath was a torrent of blame and controversy, leaving one of the most significant modern tragedies largely discussed only in fleeting moments. 1. The hidden shadow of the Spanish hostage crisis. Between 2000 and 2005, a series of kidnappings took place in the Basque country, where separatist group ETA targeted individuals perceived as oppressors. While many know about the headlines, the lesser-known stories of those taken captive, often citizens with no political ties, remain disturbing. The victims were held for long periods, subjected to harsh conditions, and released only when their families could pay hefty ransoms. The human element of these individual stories has largely vanished from collective memory, marking them as deep shadows in the pages of history. 2. Roy Hallums. American contractor Roy Hallums was kidnapped in Iraq in 2004. Held captive for 311 days, Hallums was subjected to physical and psychological torture, including being bound and blindfolded. His appeals for help featured in distressing videos that drew attention worldwide. When Hallums was finally rescued in 2005, he expressed profound gratitude to the forces involved, a testament to the harrowing experience and the enduring hope of survival amidst despair. 1. Father Martin Jenco. Father Martin Jenco, kidnapped in Beirut in 1985, was held for 564 days. His captivity was one of extreme isolation, limited basic necessities, and brutal restrictions. However, despite his dire circumstances, Jenco found solace in his faith, reflecting on themes of forgiveness in his writings after his release. His endurance and resilience serve not only as a harrowing testament to the capacity for human strength in dire straits but also as a reminder of the transformative power of compassion, even amidst cruelty.